Welcome to the award in Education and Training from Voluntary Action Leicestershire. The award in education that you're about to do is your first step in teaching adults in lifelong learning. For those of you who remember the old Petals course, this is pretty much the same as the old Petals course with a few changes. And the course is going to be available to you at level 3. There are 3 units. The first one is on the roles and responsibilities of a teacher, and you'll be asked exactly what it is that a teacher has to do. The second one is about how you teach in an inclusive way. That's trying to motivate and engage all of your learners. And then the final unit is about how you assess the learners and how you do that fairly. And as part of that, you're going to have to do some practical work as well. You're going to have to do a micro-teach, which is a 20-minute teaching session. And with your micro-teach, you'll have to provide a lesson plan. As part of that, you'll need to complete a reflective journal in which you just reflect on how well the teaching session went and whether there anything that you wanted to do differently. And then together with that, you need to do 2 observations of your colleagues. That's usually done on the face-to-face course by observing other people in the room. But if you can make arrangements to observe other people in a natural setting and then complete an observation of them, then that's even better for you. Okay, if you've logged on, then I'll just show you very quickly how the materials for the course work. If you've logged on, then hopefully you will have something like this that you can see. You already clicked on your induction, which is presumably what you're already watching. I mentioned before that you were going to have to do a micro-teach. Now if you click onto this section here, then you'll find some resources, and just click on the button here and that will take you through various different pages to explain to you what you need to do and how you get that information to us. You've also got a frequently asked questions section here, so if there's anything you're not too sure about, I've put in answers to lots of questions that other people have asked, so stuff like how much work am I supposed to do, are there any books that I've got to write, etc, etc, read even, etc, etc. On here we've got some resources for you. So for your micro-teach, I mentioned that you're going to have to do an observation, and so the reports that you use, lesson plans, schemes of work, they're all in there. Underneath here as well, you might be interested in some of the specifications. So it's actually got the specification for each of the units that you're going to need to do. So if you wanted to look ahead, you could have a look at the first unit you're going to do. Let's click on that application so you can see that you're going to have to explain the teaching role, summarise aspects of legislation, etc, etc. You also have the policies, Val's policies here, which you can have a look through. So you learn a policy, equality and diversity, conflicts of interest, etc, etc. There are some more, you just collapse the boxes there, and that's the same with any of those resources in any of the files. And if you want to click on the assignments, this also tells you each of the assignments that you need to do and how to complete them. So just click on the button there, and that takes you through explaining each of the assignments that you need to complete. It should be reasonably self-explanatory. There's a link here to AIM Awards, and AIM Awards are the governing body, the accrediting body for the qualification that you're going to. And then finally there's the reflective journal. So you have a reflective journal here that you're asked to complete, and usually at the end of each session I'll say to you, can you go to your reflective journal and just comment on how well the session went or how well your session went. And there's some example questions at the top there. All you need to do is click on that button and you click in the box. I am currently a teacher at blah, blah, blah. Okay, and you can save your changes. And as soon as you save the changes, it will say, this is my own work. It's the same with all of your assignments. A little button will come up and say, is this my own work? And then you click on yes, and you save it. And as soon as you save it, I can see it. So we're doing all right. Okay, so that familiarises you hopefully with the screen there. Now just a couple of things that you need to be mindful of, which are kind of rules really that we lay down for you. You can pretty much do as you please apart from the following things. The first is that we don't have any extensions to deadlines. So at the start of the course you should have been told exactly when you need to get your work in by. And if it doesn't come in, we don't have any extensions at all. So there are absolutely no circumstances in which we would allow you to go over that time. In the event that you do go over that time, then we will charge you for each of the units that you don't manage to do. So it is worthwhile making sure that you know what the deadlines are and making sure that you arrange your time such that you can get the work in, because there is absolutely nothing that we will accept as an excuse for not getting your work in. And it sounds like we're heartless, but that's just because we have a lot of learners and we can't afford to be marking work outside of the time that we've allotted, I'm afraid. Now, when you do your work, then we will give you 2 attempts to get this in. So when you click that button and you submit your work to us, then we'll have a look at it. In the event that it needs some changes, then we will send it back to you and say, can you do this, please? And then you get a second chance to do it. In the event that it's still not right, then you will not pass that unit. That's because we cannot just keep indefinitely marking people's work. So it's worth your while putting effort into the first one. Sometimes people just do a very, very rough draft, but I would recommend strongly that the first draft that you do is as strong as you can make it. We recommend that you get a course textbook. There's a requirement for you to actually use some sources there. If at all, in the course, it feels like everything that you've written has come completely from the top of your head. And that usually means that you haven't been doing any background reading. So if you can use a book, there's a bibliography in the resources section that you can have a look at. But certainly we recommend you get this course textbook, which is by Anne Gravels. Now, when you get your work back from us, if say you've done some writing, then what we'll have alongside it are comments in margins alongside it. So for this one, you can tell that the person's describing inclusive learning. By doing that, they've been answering question 1.1. So on the margin, they've put 1.1. I really like the way you've used the reference in here. Good use of quotes to demonstrate you know what you are doing, which is great. But it may well be that there's a red comment beside it which says you need to make a change. And that's not a problem because you get 2 chances. But if you are asked to make a change, you will need to make a change on that particular document. We do not want you to send something different to us, otherwise we end up with loads of different documents. So either do it in the text in a different colour, or do it at the end of the text marked as the changes, because we only really want 1 document for you for each of the assignments rather than 2, because it gets a bit messy. And then that's it, really. Have a flick around the website. We hope that you're going to be happy on the course that you've got. Don't forget you've got contact numbers for us just in case there are any problems with it. Your tutor by now should have explained to you how the tutorials work. But in the box below, if you can just type in, summarise in 50 words or so, roughly what it is that you've got to do, any of the rules and regulations for the course, just to check that we know that you've been watching this, and then we're ready to get started anyway. Thank you very much, and I will speak to you soon.